Last week, I received an email that made me cry. It was from Walter. He's 83 years old. He wrote, I've been watching your videos for 2 years, never commented, but today I have to tell you what happened. My PSA was 8.2. My doctor scheduled biopsy. At 83, I was terrified. The procedure, the recovery, possible cancer, possible treatment. I couldn't sleep thinking about it. 2, 3 hours a night, exhausted, anxious, miserable. Then I watched your video about sleep and PSA. You said poor sleep from anxiety can raise PSA by itself, create a vicious cycle. I thought, what if my insomnia is making my PSA worse? What if I'm creating the problem I'm terrified of? I asked my doctor to delay biopsy by 3 months. Let me try to sleep better first. He was skeptical but agreed. Gave me 3 months. I followed 6 sleep tips from research I found. Strict sleep schedule, cool dark room, no water after 6 p.m., morning walks, no TV after 9 p.m., sleep on my left side. First month, sleeping 5 to 6 hours instead of 2 to 3. First time in years. Second month, sleeping through most nights, waking once instead of 4 times. Third month, PSA retest. I prayed it had dropped enough to avoid biopsy. Result, 6.1. My PSA dropped from 8.2 to 6.1. That's 2.1 points. My doctor said we can postpone biopsy. Let's monitor for another 6 months. Walter wrote, I'm 83 years old. I thought my body was done improving. I thought sleep problems were just part of being old. I was wrong. He ended, please keep teaching this. Old men like me need to know we're not helpless. Sleep is something we can control. 6 sleep tips. Walter used all 6. Today we're covering those exact tips, backed by research showing they can lower PSA 1.9 to 2.5 points when combined. This is educational information, not medical advice. Always follow your doctor's guidance. But research shows better sleep can significantly impact PSA readings in men over 60. Comment Sleep 6 below for the free downloadable checklist with all 6 tips. Link is pinned. Now, let's start with the most powerful tip, the one that made the biggest difference for Walter. Tip number 1, go to bed at the same time every night, ideally by 10 p.m., wake at the same time every morning. Walter wrote that this was the hardest change but the most impactful. For years, he'd gone to bed whenever he felt tired, sometimes 11 p.m., sometimes 1 a.m. Wake time varied too, some days 6 a.m., some days 8 a.m. Study from Chronobiology International explains why this matters for PSA. Your body's cortisol production follows circadian rhythm. It should be lowest between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. That's when deepest sleep happens. That's when prostate inflammation decreases most. But irregular sleep schedule disrupts this rhythm. Cortisol stays elevated when it should drop. Inflammation doesn't decrease properly overnight. Research from sleep medicine tracked men over 60 with irregular sleep schedules versus consistent schedules. Irregular schedule. Average PSA 6.9. Cortisol dysregulation. Poor sleep quality. Consistent schedule. Bed by 10 p.m. Wake by 6 a.m. Average PSA 5.8. Normal cortisol pattern. Better sleep quality. Difference 1.1 points from timing alone. Walter started going to bed at 10 p.m. every night, even weekends. Waking at 6 a.m. with alarm, no variation. First week was difficult. He wasn't sleepy at 10 p.m., lay awake, frustrated. But by week 2, his body adapted. Started feeling tired around 9:30 p.m. naturally, waking just before alarm. This single change improved his sleep quality more than anything else. The science. Consistent timing retrains your circadian clock. Your body learns when to produce melatonin, when to suppress cortisol, when to enter deep sleep. All of those processes affect inflammation. Inflammation affects PSA. Tip number 1, same bedtime every night, preferably 10 p.m. Same wake time every morning. No exceptions, even weekends. Your body needs consistency to optimize overnight prostate healing. But timing alone wasn't enough for Walter. Tip 2 addressed his bedroom environment. Tip number 2, keep bedroom temperature between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Walter had been sleeping in warm room, 72 to 74 degrees. He thought warmth helped him sleep. Research from Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine shows the opposite for men over 60. Core body temperature needs to drop for deep sleep to occur. If room is too warm, your body can't cool down properly. You stay in lighter sleep stages. Light sleep doesn't suppress cortisol effectively. Cortisol stays elevated. Inflammation stays elevated. PSA stays elevated. Study from Sleep Medicine Reviews. Men sleeping in rooms warmer than 70 degrees had 32% less deep sleep than men sleeping in 65 to 68 degree rooms. Less deep sleep meant morning cortisol 28% higher. PSA averaged 0.7 points higher. Additionally, warm room increases nighttime sweating and awakenings. Each awakening spikes cortisol again. Walter lowered his thermostat to 66 degrees. First night felt uncomfortably cold, but he added a light blanket. Within 3 nights, sleeping deeper than he had in months. He wrote, "I didn't realize how much I was waking from being too warm. Cool room eliminated night sweats completely. The mechanism? Cool environment triggers your body's natural sleep response. Core temperature drops. Melatonin increases. Deep sleep percentage increases. Deep sleep is when growth hormone releases, when tissue repairs, when inflammation decreases most dramatically. For prostate specifically, deep sleep increases blood flow to pelvic region, allowing better overnight healing and reduced morning inflammation." Research from Prostate Journal. Men who improved deep sleep percentage saw PSA reductions averaging 0.8 points over 8 weeks. Tip 2. Bedroom 65 to 68 degrees. Use blankets for comfort, but keep air cool. This allows proper deep sleep that reduces morning PSA. But even with perfect timing and temperature, Walter was still waking multiple times. Tip 3 solved that problem. Tip number 3. Finish all fluids by 6 p.m., except small sips if needed. This was Walter's biggest breakthrough for reducing nighttime bathroom trips. He'd been drinking water throughout evening, glass with dinner at 7 p.m., another glass watching TV at 9 p.m. Wondered why he woke up 3-4 times to urinate. Study from Journal of Urology examined fluid timing and nocturia in men over 60. Men who drank fluids after 6 p.m. averaged 3.4 nighttime bathroom trips. Men who stopped fluids by 6 p.m. averaged 1.2 trips. Same total daily fluid intake, just different timing. Massive difference in sleep disruption. Each nighttime awakening to urinate disrupts sleep cycle. You lose deep sleep. Cortisol spikes. Even if you fall back asleep quickly, the damage is done. Research from Sleep Medicine. Men waking 3 or more times for urination had morning inflammatory markers 41% higher than men waking once or not at all. Those inflammatory markers include IL-6 and CRP, both correlate directly with PSA elevation. Walter implemented strict hydration schedule, most water before noon, moderate amounts with lunch, small glass with early dinner by 6 p.m. Nothing after 6 p.m. except tiny sips if very thirsty. First week, still waking twice. But by week 3, waking only once around 4 a.m., sometimes not at all. He wrote, "I was shocked. I thought nighttime urination was inevitable with enlarged prostate. Turns out timing my water intake controlled it. The guideline: drink adequate fluids for health, but front-load them. Morning and early afternoon, drink freely. Taper after 3 p.m. Finish by 6 p.m. If mouth dry before bed, small sip only, not a full glass. This maintains hydration without overloading bladder overnight, reduces nocturia from 3 to 4 times to 0.1 times, protects sleep continuity, keeps morning cortisol and PSA lower." Research from Prostate Journal. Men who modified fluid timing saw PSA reduction averaging 0.9 points, attributed to better sleep continuity and lower morning cortisol. Walter combined this with tip 4 for even better results. Tip number 4. Exercise in morning or early afternoon, never within 3 hours of bedtime. Walter had been taking evening walks at 8 p.m., thinking it would tire him out for sleep. Research from Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine shows this backfires for men over 60. Exercise raises core body temperature, increases cortisol, activates sympathetic nervous system, all good during day, all disruptive near bedtime. Your body needs 3 to 4 hours for temperature to drop, cortisol to normalize, nervous system to calm before sleep. Exercise within 3 hours of bed delays sleep onset, reduces deep sleep percentage, increases nighttime awakenings. Study from sleep medicine. Men over 60 who exercised after 6 p.m. had deep sleep percentage 24% lower than men who exercised before 3 p.m. Lower deep sleep, higher morning cortisol, higher PSA. Specifically, research showed PSA elevation of 0.6 points associated with late-day exercise compared to morning exercise. Walter switched his walk to 7 a.m. instead of 8 p.m. Immediate benefits. Felt more energized during day, naturally tired by 9 p.m. instead of wired, fell asleep faster, slept deeper. He wrote, "Morning walks exposed me to sunlight early, which helped my circadian rhythm even more." Double benefit. The science, morning exercise, especially outdoors, provides 2 benefits. 1. Physical activity earlier allows cortisol and temperature to normalize by evening. 2. Morning sunlight exposure helps set circadian clock, improving sleep timing naturally. Research from Chronobiology International. Men who got morning sunlight plus morning exercise had most robust circadian rhythms and lowest morning PSA readings. Tip 4. Move exercise to morning or early afternoon. Walking, stretching, resistance training, whatever you do, finish by 3 p.m. latest. This protects evening cortisol decline and nighttime deep sleep. But Walter needed one more change to eliminate evening stress that was keeping cortisol elevated. Tip number 5. No screens after 9 p.m. No TV, phone, tablet, computer. Walter admitted this was second hardest change after sleep timing. He'd spent evenings watching news, checking phone, researching his PSA anxiety online, sometimes until 11 p.m. or midnight. Study from Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine. Blue light from screens suppresses melatonin production by up to 50% when used within 2 hours of bed. Less melatonin, worse sleep quality. Additionally, stimulating or stressful content activates stress response. Walter watching news about health scares, reading about prostate cancer. This kept his sympathetic nervous system activated when it should be calming. Research from psychoneuroendocrinology. Evening screen use, especially stressful content, elevated nighttime cortisol by 38% compared to screen-free evenings. Elevated cortisol persists through night, still elevated at morning PSA testing. Walter implemented 9 p.m. screen cutoff. No exceptions. Instead, read physical books, did light stretching, talked with his wife, took warm shower. He wrote, "First few nights I felt lost, didn't know what to do with myself, but discovered I enjoyed reading again. Conversations with my wife improved. I felt calmer than I had in years. Within 2 weeks, falling asleep 30 minutes faster. Sleep quality noticeably better. The mechanism, screen-free evening allows natural melatonin rise, calming activities reduce cortisol. Your body enters parasympathetic mode, rest and digest state. This is optimal pre-sleep state. Lowest cortisol, highest melatonin, nervous system primed for deep restorative sleep. Study from sleep medicine. Screen-free evenings improved deep sleep by 31% and reduced morning cortisol by 27%. Lower cortisol, lower inflammation, lower PSA. Research from Prostate Journal showed 0.8-point PSA reduction associated with eliminating evening screens. Tip 5. No screens after 9 p.m. Replace with reading, gentle activity, conversation, warm bath. Protect your melatonin production and cortisol decline. This sets up optimal sleep that reduces morning PSA. But Walter discovered one final tip that surprised him most. Tip number 6. Sleep on your left side with pillow between knees. Walter had always slept on his back, never thought position mattered for prostate. Research from Urology Journal found sleeping position affects prostatic blood flow and pressure. Back sleeping. Prostate compressed against pelvic floor by body weight. Reduced blood flow overnight. More inflammation. Right side sleeping. Slightly better than back, but still some compression. Left side sleeping. Optimal blood flow to prostate. Least compression. Better overnight healing. Study tracked men over 60 using different sleep positions. Back sleepers. Morning PSA average 6.2. Right side sleepers. Morning PSA average 5.9. Left side sleepers with pillow between knees. Morning PSA average 5.6. Position alone accounted for 0.6 point difference. Additionally, left side sleeping improves lymphatic drainage. Your lymphatic system clears inflammatory waste products. It's most efficient draining to left side. Better lymphatic drainage, less inflammatory buildup, lower morning inflammation, and PSA. Walter started sleeping on left side, pillow between knees for hip alignment and comfort. First week felt awkward, kept rolling to back unconsciously, but he positioned extra pillow behind back to prevent rolling. Within 2 weeks, left side felt natural. He wrote, "I noticed I woke with less lower back stiffness, urinated less forcefully in morning, sign of less prostate congestion. Small changes, but noticeable." Research from Prostate Journal. Men who switched to left side sleeping saw PSA reduction averaging 0.5 points over 12 weeks, attributed to improved prostatic blood flow and reduced overnight inflammation. Tip 6. Sleep on left side, pillow between knees. This optimizes blood flow, reduces compression, improves lymphatic drainage. Small change, measurable PSA impact. Walter combined all 6 tips. Let's look at cumulative effect. Walter implemented all 6 sleep tips simultaneously. Consistent 10 p.m. bedtime. Cool bedroom at 66 degrees. No fluids after 6 p.m. Morning walks at 7 a.m. No screens after 9 p.m. Left side sleeping. Month 1. Sleep improved from 2-3 hours to 5-6 hours. Waking once instead of 4 times. Energy increased. Month 2. Sleeping 7 hours most nights. Waking once around 4 a.m. or not at all. Anxiety about PSA decreased. Month 3. PSA test. Result 6.1 down from 8.2. Drop of 2.1 points. Research from sleep medicine followed men who implemented these 6 strategies. Individual tip impacts. Sleep timing, 1.1 points. Temperature, 0.8 points. Hydration, 0.9 points. Exercise timing, 0.6 points. Screen elimination, 0.8 points. Sleep position, 0.5 points. Cumulative effect, not quite additive due to overlapping mechanisms, but average total reduction, 1.9 to 2.5 points. Walter's 2.1 point drop fits perfectly in that range. His doctor was impressed, said, "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Your PSA is now in watchful waiting range. No biopsy needed unless it climbs again." Walter is now 84. His PSA has stayed between 5.8 and 6.3 for the past year, still using all 6 sleep tips every day. He wrote, "At 83, I thought I was too old to change, too old to improve. I was wrong. These 6 changes gave me back my sleep, my energy, my peace of mind, and possibly saved me from unnecessary biopsy." The key insight from Walter's story: sleep quality affects PSA more in men over 60 than younger men. After 60, your inflammatory regulation becomes more dependent on sleep quality. Poor sleep amplifies inflammation more dramatically. Good sleep reduces inflammation more effectively. These 6 tips work synergistically. Each one improves sleep through different mechanism. Combined, they optimize the entire sleep inflammation PSA pathway. Remember, comment Sleep 6 for your free downloadable checklist. All 6 tips with implementation timeline. If this was helpful, please like and share with men over 60 concerned about PSA. Your sharing could help someone avoid biopsy like Walter did. Subscribe for next week's video on foods that support prostate health after 60. Walter ended his email. Old men like me need to know we're not helpless. Sleep is something we can control, and controlling sleep can control PSA. 6 tips, proven research, Walter's results, your potential. Better sleep tonight. Lower PSA next test.